Have you ever been fined for something on land you actually own? What if your neighbor decided your solar panels were a crime against beige perfection? And what if the only way to shut down the Karen running your life was to secretly buy the company sending all those nasty letters? Let me tell you about Ryan Bennett and the day an HOA president named Karen Langley learned the hard way that control is a two-way street. 9 years ago, Ryan Bennett bought 4 acres on the edge of what was then empty fields outside a quiet southern town. After 15 years coding in sterile offices, he was done with fluorescent lights and soul-crushing commutes. His wife, Sarah, worked remotely as a graphic designer, so they decided to build something that felt like theirs. The home was a custom passive solar masterpiece with battery storage that kept the lights on even during storms, a deep well that tasted like freedom, rainwater collection feeding the orchard, and a composting system that turned waste into rich soil. The chickens clucked contentedly in their coop, providing fresh eggs every morning. Everything was done to county specs, with permits and engineering stamps. For 3 years, it was pure bliss, the wind whispering through the grass at night. Stars so bright you forgot streetlights existed. No traffic, no bills for power or water, just the quiet satisfaction of owning your life. Then the bulldozers rolled in. Halverson Development swallowed the surrounding pastures and vomited out Silver Oaks Commons, rows of identical beige boxes with microscopic lawns and a clubhouse that screamed, "We tried too hard." They slapped on the HOA before the paint dried. Ryan and Sarah triple-checked their deed with their attorney. Their parcel predated everything. No covenants, no easements, no shared anything. They were legally an island in a sea of beige conformity. At first, the new neighbors were friendly enough. Kids waved. Sarah traded tomatoes from the garden, and folks asked curious questions about the solar array. Most were just families chasing the American dream. Then came the board election that changed everything. Karen Langley had moved in 6 months earlier. A retired community relations manager in her late 50s who dressed like she was perpetually auditioning for a country club catalog, pastel cardigans buttoned to the chin, pearls that probably cost more than Ryan's first car, and a smile that could freeze lava. She complained about everything: mailbox colors too vibrant, fence heights too tall, a kid's basketball hoop ruining the street view. She ran for president on a platform of protecting property values and family harmony. She won in a landslide fueled by fear. Suddenly, Silver Oaks turned into a compliance police state. Grass had to be measured with rulers. God forbid it hit 2.6 inches. Fines rained down for trash cans left out past 8 a.m. One poor family got hit because their front door was the wrong shade of eggshell. People grumbled but paid up, terrified of the next notice. Then one ordinary Tuesday, the first letter arrived in Ryan's mailbox. Crisp and official from Silver Oaks Commons, HOA. Dear property owner, your solar array violates aesthetic guidelines and must be removed or screened within 30 days. $50 fine attached. Ryan read it aloud to Sarah, and they both burst out laughing so hard the chickens scattered. Clerical error, they figured. Tossed it in the trash. 2 weeks later, another arrived. Chickens prohibited within community boundaries. Another $50. By the 4th letter, the fines were stacking. Compost bins labeled a health hazard, rain barrels unsightly eyesores, the greenhouse an unauthorized structure. Total climbed past $300, then $4,000. That's when Ryan wrote back, polite but firm, attaching deed copies, parcel numbers, everything. Certified mail to the board and their management company, Pinnacle Community Services. A week later, he was fixing the gate when a car door slammed. Karen Langley herself came strutting up the gravel drive in heels that sank into the dirt, pearls gleaming like trophies. "Ryan, darling," she cooed in that fake sweet voice that made your skin crawl. "We all have to make little sacrifices for the greater good of the community. Those ugly panels are dragging down everyone's values. Think of the children playing nearby." Ryan wiped grease from his hands and stayed calm. "Karen, with all due respect, we're not in your HOA, never have been. Check the deed." She tilted her head, smile never wavering. "Oh, bless your heart. Sweetie, covenants run with the land around here. You're surrounded. Sooner or later you'll see reason and comply." The threat was wrapped in sugar, but her eyes said otherwise. From that day, the rumors started spreading like poison ivy. Neighbors whispered Ryan was the recluse, that hippie lowering property values, probably prepping for the end times with his little farm. Karen's subtle campaign worked wonders. People who once borrowed tools now crossed the street. Ryan stayed silent, smiling politely at the grocery store, watching, documenting every overreach in a folder that grew thicker by the week. The dark humor of it all hit him during sleepless nights. Here was a woman preaching harmony while finding families for joy, all while her own house hid peeling paint behind perfect hedges. Fines escalated. Then the county started knocking, anonymous complaints about the illegal composting system, the unsafe solar array, the noisy chickens. Inspectors came, shrugged, and left with compliments on the setup. But each visit cost time, stress, and paperwork. The final straw landed like a slap. Silver Oaks filed a lien against Ryan's property for unpaid HOA assessments on land they had zero claim to. Sarah's face went pale when the notice arrived. Their attorney went nuclear, filed motions, and the judge tossed the lien faster than you could say frivolous. He even ordered the HOA to cover Ryan's legal fees for that round. Ryan figured that would end it. He was wrong. One evening at the gas station, Karen cornered him by the pump, jabbing a manicured finger into his chest. "This isn't over, Ryan. I will make you comply, one way or another." Her voice stayed sweet, but the mask slipped just enough to show the fear underneath. She was losing control, and she hated it. That night, Sarah looked at him across the kitchen table. "What are you thinking?" Ryan smiled for the first time in months. "Something brilliant. Or insane. Probably both. Here's what most people don't realize about HOAs. The board makes the noise, but the management company runs the machine. Pinnacle Community Services handled the letters, the dues, the violations, the contracts. Ryan started digging quietly. The owner, a burned-out guy named Martin, was desperate to retire. Health issues, board drama fatigue. Through a broker and an LLC, Ryan approached discreetly. The price was reasonable. Their attorney reviewed the Silver Oaks contract Karen herself had signed. It was laughably lopsided. Pinnacle got audit rights, direct homeowner reporting, and a termination clause that basically locked the HOA in for 2 years of fees if they tried to fire them. Ryan closed the deal in a quiet conference room 3 months later. He walked out the new owner of the very company that had been tormenting him. Sarah poured bourbon that night. "This is either genius or divorce material." Ryan just grinned. "Watch me turn their weapon into mine." He spent the first week in Pinnacle's small office poring over files in silence. Contracts, emails, violation logs. What he found wasn't criminal genius. It was petty, sloppy greed dressed up as standards. Landscaping payments funneled to Karen's sister's company at double market rates. Community outreach, expenses that looked suspiciously like her wine and steak nights at the country club charged to HOA dues. Clubhouse security upgrades that somehow included a home theater system for private board parties while regular families got locked out. Over 2 years, questionable spending topped $45,000. Compliance inspectors had noted multiple times that Ryan's parcel wasn't on any HOA map. Notes overridden by direct orders from President Langley herself. One inspector's email read, "This could expose us to liability." Ignored. Ryan leaned back in the chair, the slow burn of years of harassment turning into cold strategy. Most of this machine ran because people were too scared to push back. Not anymore. The quarterly board meeting was scheduled for the following Thursday evening. As the new owner of Pinnacle, Ryan was required to attend and present. He put on a blazer, left the flannel at home, and walked into that faux stone clubhouse like he belonged there. 40 homeowners sat in folding chairs. Karen stood at the front in her signature cardigan, shuffling papers, voice dripping honey as she announced, "We're continuing enforcement against non-compliant adjacent properties to protect our values." She didn't look at Ryan yet, but the room felt the tension. Ryan stood slowly. "Actually, Karen, those figures are very relevant." Every head turned. The air in the clubhouse thickened like it was about to storm. Karen's perfectly made-up face drained of color the second she recognized him. You can't be serious, she sputtered. Pearls quivering. Ryan kept his voice even. The same calm tone he'd used for years while enduring her nonsense. I'm Ryan Bennett, new owner of Pinnacle Community Services. And as part of the ownership transition, I ran a full financial audit of Silver Oak's accounts. He held up the neatly bound report like a quiet bomb. The hum of the air conditioner was the only sound for a long second. Karen's fake smile cracked at the edges. This is a blatant conflict of interest. You live right next door. Ryan nodded politely. True. But I'm here tonight in my professional capacity. The same contract you personally signed gives the management company authority to audit and present findings directly to homeowners for transparency. He flipped open the packet and started reading. Slow and deliberate, letting every word land like a slap wrapped in velvet. Over the past 24 months, Silver Oaks has funneled approximately $45,000 into expenses that need explaining. First, landscaping payments totaling $12,000 to Langley Family Solutions, your sister's company. Correct, Karen? At nearly double the going rate. A man in the third row leaned forward. Voice sharp. Wait, isn't that your sister? Karen's cheeks flushed an ugly red. That's completely irrelevant. It was a competitive bid. Ryan smiled thinly. Competitive? Or cozy? The murmurs started rippling like a wave. He moved on, voice never rising. Then there are the community outreach expenses, $9,000 at local steakhouses. Funny how those line up exactly with your private book club nights while the community pool's been broken since Memorial Day. A woman near the front gasped. My dues paid for your dinners while my kids can't swim? The room erupted in angry whispers. Ryan kept going, turning pages like he was reading a bedtime story gone wrong. And the clubhouse security upgrade invoice? It mysteriously includes a high-end projector and surround sound system. Equipment never listed for public use, but booked solid every Saturday, 4 board functions. A guy in the back actually laughed. Short and bitter. So that's why we couldn't reserve it for my kid's birthday. Karen slammed her hand on the table. The pearls bouncing. This is a smear campaign. You bought this company just to sabotage us. Ryan let the words hang, then turned another page. Speaking of sabotage, your own compliance officers documented repeatedly that my 4-acre parcel is outside HOA jurisdiction. Those notes were overridden by direct instructions from the board president. You cost this community legal fees, wasted inspector time, and tried to lien land you don't own, all while preaching harmony. The murmurs turned to outright anger. A retired teacher stood up, voice shaking. We're on fixed income. We paid every fine, every dues hike, thinking it was for the neighborhood. And you're telling us it funded your spa days. Karen tried to regain control, voice rising into that shrill register everyone knew too well. This is hysteria. We've operated within our authority. Another homeowner yelled from the back. Then why did the judge throw out your lien and make us pay his fees? That was the tipping point. A younger board member, quiet until now, turned to Karen. Did you even read the contract before you signed it? Silence fell like a guillotine. Ryan read aloud from Section 7B of the management agreement. The management company retains authority to conduct financial audits and present findings directly to homeowners in the interest of fiduciary transparency. He looked up. Your signature. Karen. The room exploded. Hands shot up. Accusations flew. Years of pent-up frustration over ridiculous rules and hidden costs finally had oxygen. Karen's mask shattered completely. Gone was the honeyed "bless your heart," replaced by a snarling meltdown. You ingrates. I protected this community. But it was too late. Under their own bylaws, a majority vote at a general meeting triggered a special election. 28 hands went up in favor. Karen looked around like the script had been rewritten without her. She gathered her papers with shaking hands, knocking over a chair on her way out. Through the windows, you could see her storming to her SUV, face twisted in fury. The weeks that followed felt like a fever breaking. An interim board formed, full of homeowners who actually cared. They reconciled every account. Karen personally repaid a chunk of the questionable spending. The rest came from embarrassed board allies. No long court fight, Just quiet settlements and red faces. Prescott Outdoor Solutions, wait. Langley Family Solutions, got replaced by honest contractors at half the cost. The common areas turned green again. The pool pump was fixed in 2 weeks instead of 2 years. The clubhouse opened for real family parties instead of private Karen wine nights. At the next meeting, the new board passed a formal resolution acknowledging Ryan's property had never been part of Silver Oaks. All fines voided. Several neighbors approached him afterward, shaking his hand. One older guy said quietly, "We were scared to push back." She retaliated against anyone who questioned her. Ryan just nodded. He'd seen it firsthand. He ran Pinnacle for a year after that, cleaning up processes, giving the inspectors raises they deserved, making sure the communities actually got served instead of milked. Then he sold it to one of the honest inspectors who had the integrity for it. The day the papers signed, Ryan felt real closure. Karen sold her house 6 months later and slinked out of town, muttering about politics and conspiracies to anyone who would listen. Maybe that's what she needed to believe. Every now and then Ryan still drives past Silver Oaks. The lawns look better. Kids ride bikes without fear of fines. His own solar panels still catch the sun. Chickens scratch happily. Garden grows wild and free. She told him he would comply with community standards one way or another. In the end, he did, just not the way she expected. Look, sometimes the best revenge isn't loud, it's calculated. HOAs can turn neighbors into tyrants hiding behind rules. Ryan's patience and smart countermove shows that quiet observation beats rage. The real power is understanding the machine better than the bully running it. Don't just fight, own the game. Bullies thrive on silence. Break it smartly.